Hi knitters, welcome to PJKnits. My name's Penny and I live in Central Illinois, and I'm a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. Thanks for stopping by. Oh gosh, it is Thursday, April 6th here in Central Illinois, and the sun is shining. It's about 44 degrees, and we've just come out of a few days of off and on rainy stuff. Last Friday we had some major storms go through, and we had another one on Tuesday that actually drove me to the basement, which normally that's not me. Normally I'm going to go out and stand on the porch and watch it do its thing and see what's going on. And I did do that intermittently after I went down, but eventually I did spend a couple of minutes downstairs with my knitting, just in case, because it really looked and sounded dicey out there. But all's well now. We're looking at some sunny weather going in, hopefully to the Easter weekend, and so I am looking forward to that coming up. So I just wanted to take a moment here, a couple of things. Again, the raspy voice allergy season is kicked in, and as I turned 60-ish, 5-ish, 64, 65-ish, all of a sudden I developed allergies that I never had before. So this is the way this nice little Bonnie Raitt voice is going to be with me, and maybe I should try singing. My kids tell me don't sing. But anyway, neither here nor there. But anyway, I just wanted to say a shout out and say thank you to everyone who has been a part of the podcast, who has given me shout outs on their podcasts, comment below, comment on Instagram. I do so much appreciate each and every one of you. I love our Zoom that we've been doing on Saturday nights. The info is in the PJKnits Ravelry group. We're having so much fun there. It's a small group. We're getting to know each other. We are from all over the world in the United States, and it's so much fun to talk to them and see what kind of knitting they're working on. We talk about knitting, we talk about life, we talk about weather, we enable each other, we have great laughs, and we are building some friendships and a community over there. So if you're available 6 o'clock Illinois time, we'd love to have you stop by and join us with some knitting. So that is there. So again, I do appreciate everyone who is coming back, and I hope that I am inspiring you. If nothing else, grab your cuppa, grab your knitting, and I'm going to talk about some of my knitting and maybe hopefully encourage you all a bit on some sweaters and things for knitting. As always, if you want to comment below and let me know what you're knitting on, or if you have a great idea for some knits that I haven't found, I love to be enabled and steal other people's ideas. So let's get into some knitting. Let's start with a March wrap-up from my journal, my knitting journal that I always am keeping. And just to give you a wrap-up for March, I completed 5 squares in my scrappy square blanket that I do one square each Sunday. I didn't do a whole lot of those. I did my kind of obligatory one, but I have been so excited with the knits that I have been knitting on that I wanted to knit my square and then post it and then move on, because there were so many things that I wanted to be knitting on, and so I didn't do as many squares that I may have done in past months. I had about 12 to 1,300 yards that went out of Penny's Yarn Shop, and I am happy to report for March zero yarns came in, and that's not always going to be the case, but that was the case for March. And I had a finished object, which I am wearing, which I have you've seen the knitting in progress on this. This is Niagara by Heidi Kirrmaier. And I've been drawn over the last few years to Heidi's patterns, and it seems like the ones that I've knit, and I want to say doesn't seem like, it is, I think I can almost say, pretty much for a fact, all of them have some sort of eyelet that she has incorporated into them. And someday I'll do a whole Heidi Kirrmaier PJKnits parade here and show you what they all are. But I'm sure you'll be seeing them and hearing about them on future episodes. But anyway, I've talked about this one in progress. This is Niagara by Heidi Kermeyer. And I started it probably a year ago, January, February, when I got the yarn. I got a bright idea that I wanted a green sweater. And I wanted to try out also the yarn for it as well. And so I came upon this, and I talked about this in other episodes, but I really had an inspiration photo from years ago that I picked up on Instagram. And here I've showed this before of how to style it. And this is kind of what I wanted for the spring season. You know, I've talked about the fact before that my really thought process right now, and the sweaters that I knit and things that I wear, they have to be jean friendly, because that is really what I am knitting. I want my knits to go with jeans, because that's my go-to clothes. I'm retired. I don't go out to fancy places, and if I ever have to, I am in big trouble, because I have no work pants left from those days when I worked for the college, where you know, you had to have dress pants, kind of dress pants, that's the thing. But anyway, you know what, nice pants to work in. And I don't have any of those, at least none that fit anymore. So my wardrobe has to be jean friendly and really easygoing. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. But anyway, just to give you some info on Niagara, I wanted to talk about a couple of things about it. I knitted out of Sandus Garn Double Sunday Petite Knit yarn. It's in color 8236. It's a green, and it went with what I wanted. And again, I used somewhere between 12 and 1,300 yards. Fairly quick knit, because I realized, again, at this point in time, that the eyelets didn't go all the way down, and it was just some plain knitting. The sweater itself, I wish now that I'm wearing it. And again, this is because of last year. I was probably, I was at least 10 pounds heavier. So I made a larger size. And, you know, in hindsight, this year, I wish I would have went down one size, because I think it is loose, which is what I want, but it's almost, you know, it doesn't have a whole lot of shaping to it. So it's, you know, it's pretty, but it's easy to throw on. So, you know, I'm vacillating about should I have made a smaller size or not. And the other issue that I have, and I'm going to not play with it, but the bands I put on here need to be a little bit wider, because they want to fold back. And I have blocked this aggressively, and I think over time it'll be fine. I'm not really super worried about it. I'm just going to wear it as is. So maybe I would have liked to have done just a little bit smaller size, but it's very comfy. It's a nice throw and go. So I'm not going to poo-poo about that too much. I did make alterations. All of my modifications are on my Penny J project page, because I always pick up extra stitches underneath the arms, because they're always too tight for me. And I have the large biceps here. And so I do not start doing any decreases until I hit the elbow, which is about 7 inches. And I know that from sweaters that I have made in the past. And then I have put out there a couple of times a website where you can take and decide what your stitch count is here and what it has to be here. And it gives you a good increase method of how often to do them. And I will link that again in the show notes, and I'll talk about it on the Ravelry page as well. So then I just do my increases, my decreases to get it to the wrist measurement that I want it to be. So that's kind of, if I had to say about the sweater, and it's more about the knitting of it and not the pattern. Now, I want to talk about the yarn. A couple of things about the yarn. I wanted to try it out. I wanted to do the green. And I like the yarn. Couple of things I am wondering about. What I saw after I knit it, and it went away with blocking. So that is not a big deal. While I was knitting it, and I got down a ways on the back, I saw that it seemed like there was a little bit of imperfection maybe in the yarn, and I don't want to really call it a terrible imperfection, but it looked like it was not as tightly wound as some of the other yarn, and I was already far enough down that I wasn't tearing it back. So, but it did kind of even itself out in the blocking, which I'm happy to report on that. Sometimes the yarn was a little splitty, as it is, and I am wondering now, because I have handled it so much back and forth, and I'm not sure if you can see that totally, but I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be here. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to get, it's not, I don't think it's going to pill. I don't want to say that, but I think you can see right there what I mean by kind of sort of the imperfection in it, in the stitches. And again, it may be the knitting as well, but it seemed like it was the yarn. But I wonder if it's going to get a little fuzzy on me as I wear it. And I'll keep you posted on that as we go. But I do love the sweater. I'm quite in love with it. I am going to be wearing it to the Frivolous and Frugal mini meetup at the end of July, because we're wearing green sweaters, and we're going to have our picture taken with everybody who is wearing a green sweater at that event. So I'm looking forward to that. While we're right here at the moment, I want to just give you a couple of blocking hints. And all of these hints I have gotten from someone else, but I have incorporated them into my blocking. If you saw my Instagram last week, one of the first things I've been doing lately with all of my heavier, like my sweaters or shawls, before I put them into the water, last week I put this one in the water and realized what I'd done, and I popped it out quickly. But I am putting them into a lingerie bag. And this is just one that, it's a tied one that I've had for some time. I pop them in a lingerie bag before I pop them into my soak, and that way, when I take them out, I don't have all these arms and pieces that are all going everywhere and stretching out. So they're kind of all encompassed into this lingerie bag as I pull them out and dump the water, and then I scrunch them down, right? Scrunch them down and try and get as much water as I can out of them. Then, and I got this particular hint from Meg Swanson years ago on one of her videos. Then I take a huge beach towel, lay it out on my floor in my kitchen, and then I pull the sweater out of the baggie, pull the sweater out and just lay it out, and then I roll it up in a tight little roll, right? Length all the way along. And then, for me, I grab a hold of a chair, and then I take and I stomp on the rolled up towel to squeeze out as much of the water that I can. And then it takes a lot out. Then I will take mine up to my blocking space, which is my upstairs bedroom right now. And I have those little padded mats that little kids use. I have them on the bed, interlocking puzzle pieces, and that's what I lay it all out on. Now, one of the hints that I got just recently from Noelle of the Knits and Pieces podcast is pool noodles. And so I went out to my dollar store, local, and bought a long pool noodle. And so now I'm putting this pool noodle, I have a long one, and then I cut one of these up. I put the long one, if it was a long sweater, I slide it all the way through the sweater here so that I don't get those fold marks that I am so irritated about. And then I took the other ones and cut them up. So on a long one, it would go all the way through the sleeve and all the way through the other sleeve. Then I cut these smaller ones up, and they get shoved here, okay? And if I need to, I add some extra to the sleeves so that when you get done blocking, you don't have all of those marks, those fold marks. So that hint came from Noelle super, super quick idea, neat idea for blocking, which I love. I tried a PVC pipe at one time, but you need somebody to cut that for you, right? And it just wasn't working for what I want. I guess I could still use that PVC pipe for a cross here and then use my other noodles. But anyway, those are just a couple of hints that I, again, picked up from somebody else. They are not ones that I came up with by myself. Okay. Finished objects continued. A few weeks ago, I went to do dishes. I don't have a dishwasher. I do them by hand. And so I went to do dishes, and I had done spaghetti sauce, chili, whatever. And you know how orange that gets. And so I was, I always rinse out the cup and things like that. But sometimes it gets, you just need to wash it out better, right? And I was like, I don't want to use my good white dish rags for that. And I noticed in our closet we had 2 old dish rags that I had knit years and years ago. And they have been bleached several times. I thought, I'm just going to pull one of those out and use it. The worst that happens, it gets all orange. I can't get it really super clean. I'll just throw it away when I'm done. And I took it out and was using it, and I realized how much I really liked that dishcloth. And it was done, it had to have been done by out of sugar and cream yarn at the time, because that's all I knew about way back then when I was actually knitting on those. So anyway, I knew I had some yarn upstairs, and I thought, I want to knit some more of those. And so as a palette cleanser, and because sometimes you just need something in between, something quick, a nice project to take, just for fun, where you don't want to pay attention, or you're going to a doctor's visit, or you have to wait for something, or just a grab and go project to toss into your purse, right? Should you have to wait for something. So, and I have quite a bit of sugar and cream or cotton yarns, and I decided I'm going to start knitting myself some dishcloths. So I pulled out some yarn there, and so my finished objects here are some dishcloths. This was a Tweedy yarn. It was a sugar and cream, and there was not as much yardage in that, so I could only get one out of it, but I have a little bit of leftovers, and when I'm all done, I'll take the leftovers and create a little leftover, as it would be, dishcloth. And so then I pulled out some white, and I was able to get 2 out of it. And so I'm on the dishcloth knitting, and this is a simple pattern that I like doing. It's the Grandma's Dishcloth pattern, using sugar and cream yarn, again out of PYS, and so I'm having a whole lot of fun with that. And that is a freebie pattern. You can just Google that one out and about. But I have those, and the thing I like now, I've not used. My next one that I'm going to cast on is the Knit Picks Dishy, and I've not used it before, so I'll keep you posted on that one. But I know from experience, the ones that I have been using, I bleached them, and yeah, they're losing some of their color, but they're still in good shape. So I'm having a little bit of fun with just a simple little dishcloth pattern. That's all that I'm doing with that one. So that's my finished objects for now to show you. So okay, let's talk about winners. Winners. Okay, we finished up the first quarter of #mistletoes of those people who are showing their socks in the Ravelry group, PJKnits, and we have a winner for the first quarter. If you will go out and check post 126, it is Lindsay Ann, which is a friend of mine as well. She has Dad's birthday socks, and Lindsay knits a lot of socks. And so, Lindsay, you are our first quarter winner. And if you would go out and pick out a new sock pattern from Ravelry. Let me know what it is. I am going to gift that to you as the winner for the first quarter, hashtag mistletoes. And keep posting your socks out there. I love seeing them. I'm thinking about some shorties to go in my tennies for summertime. So if you have ideas on shorty socks that you like, I am a top down, cuff down, double point girl. So if you have some ideas, let me know about that in the hashtag mistletoes thread on Ravelry. So Lindsay Ann, let me know which pattern you want, a new sock pattern, and I will gift that to you. And the second winner today for the Sandy bag, and I talked to Sandy a bit a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you know, the 3 Ply gals, I believe, came up with Queen Sandy. And she says, I'm also the other Sandy who makes bags. So from the other Sandy who makes bags, this is the 5-year bag. And it has references the PJKnits podcast. And again, thank you, Sandy, for your generous donation of bags for things that we'll be doing. It's a super, super cool bag. And the winner of the Sandy bag, and you had to comment below on how you found me, how we know each other. And the winner is Sarah from Northern Illinois. And Sarah is on the Tuesday night Zoom, Dude Knits, and occasionally comes by on the PJ Knits one as well. And we met at the Frivolous and Frugal mini meetup last year. And I love checking out the things that Sarah knits and crochets. She does you have to check out her gnome blankets, guys. Her gnome blankets and her gnomes that she's been crocheting. They are fantastic. She is just, she's quite the crocheter and generous to her children's friends. So Sarah, reach out to me. Let me know your address and I will get your Sandy bag in the mail to you, and enjoy that. Thanks for everybody who was out there and you know, told me how we first met and commented. So I do appreciate hearing those stories and those thoughts. So okay, let's just take a little break and have a cuppa. I hope you've brought your cuppa with you today. Excuse me. So let's talk some sweaters right now. Niagara finished. One of the things that I've talked about multiple times here and continue to talk about on the podcast is how I would like to always be ready for the season that's coming, right? I have talked about that before, to be, you know, have your sweaters ready so that you can be wearing them. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you just can't make that happen. And I've been knitting quite a few sweaters, but I wanted to share a sweater that really can double as, for me, it can double as a transitional sweater that you can wear right now. But I also think that you can wear this one in the summertime with a short sleeves t-shirt. This is Ouzo by Thea Coleman that I knit a couple of years ago, and I love this. It is a nice little vest. It looks good over a short sleeve tee, as I think she has shown it on the pattern page. I like to wear it with a mock turtleneck or a longer sleeve t-shirt as well. I knit this out of the original yarn that Thea had knit hers out of in Magpie Fibers Solstice DK, and this is in the boot cut colorway. So it's a DK sweater. I loved the fact that it has this little bit of lace, and it was a fairly easy lace to do. It was on a size 6 needle. And I has this, like I said, it has this lace across the front. It was a fairly quick knit. And pardon the noise that is about to come. But here is the front. Has a nice front. And I don't want to say, it's not a slick yarn. It has some slub to it, right? And what I particularly like, what I really like is that it also has that bit of lace on the pockets, which I really, really like. And I'm just going to do one of those QVC moments here. And I don't particularly, so there you go. So I love this. This is a nice one that you can just pop your hands in the pockets. Has a nice front on it, and it was a fairly easy knit. Has a garter piece here into the lace, and the lace was fun to do. I had a fun time doing this, and you can see now the yarn, that Solstice, has a little bit of a slub. Very jean friendly. That's really where I was going with this particular sweater when I knit it, is I wanted, when you see something that somebody, a pattern designer, a sweater that they have designed, and a lot of times you just fall in love with the yarn that they've knit it out. And that was the case on that one. I found it as Stitches Midwest. They had one of the times that they had a booth, and it was like, that's what I want. I want this colorway, and nothing else will do. So that's Ouzo by Thea Coleman, and I love that for many reasons. It can be really, I think, it could be a 4-season sweater. So something you could knit up and wear it with varying degrees of shirts underneath. And if you have really great arms, you can wear it under tanks, not over tanks. I have to remind myself when I'm doing a podcast that I need to not jump ahead so quickly and choose my words. So anyway, that's Ouzo. But sweaters that have been keeping me knitting on right now. Now, technically, the one that I'm going to show you now is not a summer sweater. But for me, this is kind of a summer sweater, because my intention was, when some friends said, do you want to do a little knit along of the Garter Marler cardigan? My intentions, once I saw it really close, it's the sweater that I want to use in the summertime, knitting on the porch. And I am an early riser, and a lot of mornings it can be cool. And I basically make a cup of coffee. I throw on a shawl, or I throw on a sweater if I have one, or my fleecy, and I'm in my jammies, and I go out to the front porch on my rocking porch, and I sit for several hours, and I knit. I enjoy the sun coming up, the birds, just the whole day starting up, the dogs barking, the people going to work. I just enjoy it, and I'd like to have a little something over me so it doesn't look like I'm necessarily sitting in my pajamas, but I'm sure that everybody knows. So when I saw this pattern, I thought this is perfect for knitting on the porch during summer, come next fall, this spring yet, because I plan on getting it done in the next week or so at the least. So this is truly a transitional spring, transitional fall sweater that I will be wearing. But it is Garter Marler Cardigan by Stephen West. I am having so much fun with it. This is the sweater that has been keeping me from all other knitting practically, other than a couple of dishcloths. But I am on my second sleeve. I am so stoked about this. I can't tell you. I tried it on the other day, and after I did the first sleeve, because I just wanted to feel how it was going. And so I also have done the band, the front band on it. I am on my second sleeve here. And the second sleeve is going so much faster than the first because I'm not having to think. I have a little list of how the yarns were. And so I have the second sleeve done with the rib. And this little marker here is to tell me when I have to start decreasing. Because again, I added, on mine, I added 22 extra stitches. I was able to do that underneath the arm to encompass because I wanted a large arm. I wanted to be able to go over my pajamas. And then I waited and measured, as I always do, and then started my decreases at the about 7-inch mark, which is just at the elbow, and used the spreadsheet, not the spreadsheet, well, the website that I will link below that told me where I had to be. And then I wanted a little bit larger cuff. I didn't want it to be as skinny as my normal ones were. And so I did that. After seeing Lindsay's, I was going to not do, as she did on hers, I was going to eliminate putting the buttonholes. But I've decided since then, I was at the shop, our local yarn shop, Fiber Universe, on Tuesday, and I thought, let's just see what kind of buttons they have. Partially because I do like a button cardigan. I do button them up because I like them to stay shut, and that's just me for the most part, because I don't want them flapping open. So I do like buttons. I like to have a button on them. So I laid out some buttons, 3 different buttons on it. And just as I was thinking, oh, this would be so cool to do just like Stephen did and do all different buttons, someone said, are you going to use all of those? And I'm like, yes. So I bought the buttons, and I'm going to put buttons on my button band. And so I'm looking forward to doing that as well. So this is just all encompassed me right now. So that's, definitely a sweater, and I think this is one that can definitely go to Montreal as a sweater to wear when it's chilly outside as well. So anyway, stay tuned for this. I'm having so much fun with this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about garter marling and all that a little bit later. But that is the sweater that is in progress right now, and that has what's been kind of keeping me busy. The other thing that I want to show you, which is a whip that I have been also working on, because I like to get a little bit of variety, right? And this is my 3rd ranunculus. My first one I did out of a fingering weight and mohair, long sleeves. I modified it so it looks just like a normal sweater, right? My second one was a short sleeve that was out of a slub and a fingering weight, which I donated. I probably should have kept it, but I didn't like that I had 2 different, very distinct dialettes on it. It was before I knew about helical knitting, and it was so obvious. And I knew that I would never wear it, so it went away. And so this is my 3rd one. I talked about ranunculus on previous episode, talking about that, of what I wanted to do. Another one out of PYS yarn. When I knit my other 2, they were out of the first ranunculus pattern that was one size fits all. This particular one, I am going with her new updated pattern from 2017, Knit Cafe Midori, her ranunculus. And there's like 17,000 of these out there, and this is just, like I said, this is my 3rd one. But my intentions are, I did this with a closer neck. I don't want a wider neck. I don't want the ones that hang off here. And my intention is to wear this over a tank top or a tank dress. something like that, sleeveless dress, because I don't go sleeveless. I am using the Ultra Pima Fine Peruvian Blends. I bought this 5 years ago, the yarn down in Florida on the way back. I am using it, and I have finished the lace portion of it, and so now right now it's all just knitting, and it's going to have a little bit of a sleeve. So here is that. And kind of hard to tell from right there because, and once it gets blacked out, you'll see more of that. I particularly like about her this one, and I had forgot about this technique, but she has a way of closing up the hole underneath the arm as you go around, and I need to remember that for future sweaters because it's a really cool technique. So anyway, that's another one that is in progress right now. Probably will be one of those that I will take down to the yarn shop to knit on because it doesn't require anything. I will, full disclosure, tell you that I always gauge swatch, and on this one I just pulled out a size 10 and started knitting. I have plenty of yarn, and I'm going to wear it as is because I'm okay if it's a little loose. So that is what I am knitting on right now. That's kind of my summer sweater right now. I have several other summer sweaters that I want to be knitting on, but I am intent on finishing my Garter Marler first, and then moving on later to my next. I'm so anxious. I am so excited to want to be knitting on summer sweaters because, like I said, it's 40-some, 50 degrees here now. Next week it's going to be 70, and I'm going to be saying, why don't I have anything that I can wear? But I do, and the nice thing about is whenever you knit your summer sweaters, if you knit them this year during the summer, that's perfectly fine because next year when summer rolls around or spring rolls around, you can start then knitting on your summer sweaters, right? But you'll still have built a wardrobe the year before that you can wear next year. And that's basically what I have done. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you a little bit about right now is I'm going to be showing some sweaters in the upcoming episodes that I have shown before on the podcast, and it could be a few years back. I'm trying really hard not to show ones that maybe I just showed last year, and I kind of have a little bit of a spreadsheet because that's what people do, right? Like me, they make lists and they check them so we don't, oh, here's that same sweater that she showed us last year. She's not doing anything different. So anyway, for those of you who don't go all the way back to the beginning of time to watch my episodes, these will be new to you. And to those who have seen them before, I apologize. But I think these ideas are still good sweaters to think about for spring, late spring, and summer coming up. And so I want to share just one that I pulled out this morning. I wanted to show you. And this is Perfect Summer Tee by Janice Ficker Designs. And this is one that I have, way back in episode 50-ish and 60 I've talked about. A nice, simple little tee that you can pull yarns out of your PYS and your personal yarn shop, and also known as your stash, that you can pull out and knit in a fingering weight yarn. I pulled this out of my stash a couple of years ago, and I wanted to make a little bit of a modification to it. And so this is out of a cotton yarn that was in my stash. Did not realize that it was going to be a stripe. It was how it was going to stripe until I started knitting it. And also decided that I didn't really want necessarily another just plain V-neck, which I love. I am finding that V-necks suit my lifestyle, suit my neck okay, and I really like wearing them. And so I took a page from the Weekender sweater from Andrea Mowry. And on this particular one, I did that slip stitch down, 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 down. And on this one, instead of doing, Janice did hers, she had around the edges, she had done I-cord, and I put ribs on both that and my bottom one. So I did put I-cord around the V-neck. But I love wearing this one. This is a great sweater for the spring and summer because it's out of a cotton yarn, and there's some nice cotton yarns maybe in your stash or maybe at your local yarn shop. So I wanted to share this one out of my wardrobe, one that I love, and it's the raglan. It also gives me the V-neck that I like, and if it's too low for you, you can put a little tank under it or wear a tank, as I could do that as well. Give me my QVC moment there. Are you having a cuppa? Are you doing some knitting while I'm playing around here? So you could easily, if this V-neck is too low for you as I've done today, you could easily just throw on a tank underneath it or wear it without. But I liked this point that it was kind of this added texture to it, which is so reminiscent. I've talked before about my ground peppers, that I like the way they fit so well, but I like the way this one fits as well. And I see some potential as maybe a jumping off point for some of these sweaters for other things during spring, summer season, right? And I've added a picture to my, I'm going to put in an inspiration page, because I'm kind of thinking about a sweater of sorts, short sleeve. And I found a long sleeve version, but I'm kind of looking at Noelle of Knits and Pieces. She's knitting on, is it the Friday Tee by Petite Knit? She's knitting on several of those as samples for their little red mitten, their local yarn shop up there. And I love that sweater. So I'll talk about that future Penny will talk about the possibilities of that sweater. Excuse me, because I don't really have the yarn right yet. But here I'm thinking this. Excuse me. A version of that in either, maybe not navy, but I'm kind of thinking about like a royal or even a brighter blue. But here's another inspiration kind of photo out of a catalog that I got, LL Bean catalog. So I'm watching the catalogs that I do still get as they come to give me kind of inspiration, because I love taking pictures like that, incorporating into possible looks into sweaters. Years ago, I've talked about this when I worked for a fabric shop. The manager of the shop that I worked for in Peoria was very good at seeing New York fashions and then taking those fashion photos and incorporating them into suits and outfits and things that could be sewn to replicate them. And she really gave me that inspiration, you know, to continue that and doing that in knitting. And that's where I'm going with that, as opposed to doing a lot of sewing on that. So that's kind of where my inspiration comes from catalogs, and I see something and how can that be incorporated into sweaters? I know you've seen shows on TV. One of my favorite ones is Shetland. I love seeing their Shetland, their hats and their sweaters. I get real close, take pictures of those because they give me inspiration. And when you see a celebrity and something that is truly looks like something that you know costs a lot of money. You think, how can I incorporate that into a knit that is in the in the penny price range? So I'm having fun with that, inspiration photos when those happen along too. And so anyway, I encourage you to be creative with your knitting like that, and maybe if you find a particular pattern that you like I have on a couple of them, that you incorporate other things to them. I know that I've seen Tracy on Grocery Girls. She's taken some of the ones that she really likes and incorporates other stripesing into that. And right now stripes seem to be very hot. And so that's, as you can see from there and other places. But I'm really looking at that one that Noelle talked about has talked about recently on their podcast. So anyway, finally, almost finally, I wanted to talk about the Burrra Cowl. Now, because I've been knitting on all of these other things, I have not progressed very far on mine. I'm sorry to say, but at some point in time, I am going to get back at it. And my goal for me is to have it done by July, twofold. I want to take it up to, as a show and tell, to the Mick Swanson's knitting camp. And I want to have it ready for the Frivolous and Frugal and 3-ply mini meetup in Hoffman Estates in Chicago, also at the end of July. So that is my goal at that time, to have this completed. But just to give you some information, it is a multi-podcast KAL. Please enter in all of the groups your finished projects. We are, I think pretty much we are all okay with you double, triple, quadruply, and more dipping in for this knit along, and join us and show us what you're knitting on. The hashtag is hashtag PJKnits Burrra Cowl if you are in doing posting to my Instagram piece, or also globally doing the hashtag Burrra Cowl 2023. And the podcast and yarn shop that is a part of this are Frivolous and Frugal, 3-ply Podcast, PJKnits, Knits and Pieces, Dude Knits, Magpie Cottage, Pandemic Knitter, Got Whips, and Around the Table Yarns. So, for my progress, from last time we met, this is what mine looked like. Now, I'm having a thought, okay? What I decided is I originally cast on 120 stitches and thought it was too big. So I tore it out and cast on 90 stitches. And I love the fabric. I love this. But it was giving me some fits. Okay? And the fits that it was giving me was, 90 stitches. Now, that's not a super small circumference. But I was just having a moment. And I'm like, this is not as much fun. So what I've done, stay tuned, I went back, put it on my 24-inch needle, cast on 120 stitches, and this is where I'm at. I've started over, and I'm going to knit a little bit more on it, and then I will decide what I would like to do. So far, I'm liking 24 inches. It just, at 24-inch cable and 120 stitches, it just makes it easier for me to manipulate the color work. So stay tuned. So I wanted to share, I kept saying, we're going to talk about the Burrra Cowl again. And and as you can see, my sweater knitting is what I'm knitting on right now. It's all about the sweaters right now. I'm so excited about sweaters and the sweaters that I want to be knitting on. So anyway, what can I say? Stay tuned on the Burrra Cowl. Now, just a couple of last minute details. I have to show you this. My friend Becky gave to me. And I think it's so cute. It sits downstairs, but she had picked it up at a nearby gift shop. Isn't that cute? And of course she bought it in my colorway, right? That little sheep. The adorable. Thank you, Becky. So super, super cool. I want to tell you a couple of things, guys. I want to tell you about a new podcast that's out there that you should check out. These are friends of mine. It is called ALT Knits, Alt Knits Podcast. It is Annetta, it is Lindsay, and it is Tasha. Annetta and Lindsay, I've known them for many years, and we have been on knitting adventures together. They show up on Zoom on Saturday nights when they can, and Tasha is a new friend that I have met. So I encourage you to go out and check out Alt Knits Podcast on YouTube, a new podcast that I think you'll love. Seeing their knits and seeing their camaraderie as well. So, and it is my understanding that Tasha is starting up a small batch yarn company called Hack Yarns. I think I've got that right. Debuting later this month. I want to say it's like April 19th, which is my son's Roger and William's 40th birthday. How did that happen when, mom's still in her 50s? Anyway, I encourage you, check out that Alt Knits podcast and watch for Tasha Hack Yarns, her new small batch yarn coming out. I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to do with that as well. So knitting adventures coming up in May is Montreal. There is one in Indiana coming up in April, and I keep thinking maybe I'll make a quick trip over there, but so far I haven't done that. I'm kind of waiting for Montreal. We're all waiting for Montreal. That's going to be so much fun. I'll have a couple of podcasts in before then. The next podcast I'm going to talk about scrappy stuff, and it's not just going to be my blanket, but it's going to be sweaters as well, because like I said, I'm into this marling thing, kind of that avenue, marling, and not necessarily just scrappy. But on the Zoom, Carolyn has given me some ideas on some things to continue to use my scrap yarns out of. So that's kind of sort of what the next episode's going to be about, is marling and scrappy projects, and that kind of give you some updates on where I am with that, because I have a lot of scrappy projects. I have several, and I keep wanting to do more of them. So anyway, I'm looking out at our window today. My tulip trees has a few tulips on it, and in about a week it will have tons on it, and then a storm will come through and they'll be gone. But I just love it. It's the sure signs that spring is coming. I hope that you are all doing well and having a great spring. Happy Easter if you celebrate. If not, happy spring. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, knit on with confidence and hope. Bye. Thanks so much.